tweets about white people and about cops, and apparently has a history of doing this. But interesting, Yahoo News wrote a report today that is titled "Alt-Right Targets Journalist Over Anti-White Tweets," saying that Yahoo right-wing websites target New York Times writer over what they call anti-white tweets. And it's just amazing the way that they spin this when you see this lady is tweeting out things about how she hates white people and on and on and on. And they're trying to spin this around as the alt-right attacking her unjustly, even though she's saying all this racist stuff. Absolutely incredible, some of what they come up with. But Austin, thank you so much for that very informative hour and a half. We covered a lot of ground, and I know your father's going to be joining us for the next half of the show. So you have a great weekend, and we'll talk with you later. Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the support. And, be sure if you guys need anything at all, use the Doug5 coupon at Healthmasters.com. It's been a blast being on the show tonight, as always, and I think Ted will be taking over here in a couple minutes. Sounds good. You take care, Austin. We'll be right back after this break.
Reporting on what mainstream media won't, you're listening to the Hagemann and Hagemann Report on the Global Star Radio Network. Exposing the New World Order, you're listening to the Hagemann and Hagemann Report on the Global Star Radio Network. Stand by. Doug and Joe will be shortly. Putting truth into action, you're listening to the Hagemann and Hagemann Report, streaming live on the Global Star Radio Network. Please, Doug and Joe will be back momentarily.
welcome to this Friday edition of Hagemann Report. We have this for the first half of the show, and now Dr. Bro is with us. Before we come on, I had a chance to talk about this final police report on Las Vegas shooting, unable to determine motive. Las Vegas police have concluded their investigation into the October 1st shooting. No clear idea why the gunman murdered 58 people, wounding 100 more. And Mike, I'm not going to go through the whole article. Read this. This one's from the Review Journal, the Las Vegas Review Journal. But does this sound right to you? They're concluding their investigation without discovering the motive, which is one of the most important aspects of this crime. Where hundreds of people, 413 people wounded by bullets, by direct gunshot. You had 58 people shot, killed. Does this right to you that they can't or are unwilling to disclose motive? This to me reeks of terrorism, and we saw ISIS take responsibility for this. The monetary transactions with Paddock and his girlfriend, who is from the Philippines, and there was some ISIS-related content that was linked to her social media accounts, and no other clear from him or anybody, or him or the investigators. And I'm leaning towards the terrorist angle because nothing sense unless it was politically motivated, targeting public conservative, as some have pointed out. But either way, what I believe here is just very troubling. This is the conclusion of law enforcement, or at least their stated conclusion. But anyway, you can read that article if you want to find out more. Dr. Ed Bro is with us. Healthmasters.com website. Doug5 is to get a discount off of any product at Healthmasters. Ted, it's great to have you back on.
Good deal. Real quick with the Paddock comment, we've got to look at a lot of different things, including gun running, weapons, all kinds of stuff no one wants to talk about. To me, this sounds like complete and total run amok as far as them to see a motive. So that whole thing with Vegas was just a jump, weird, and there were multiple shooters, so many people saying that he didn't shot, their own information of them going into the room saying the window broken out. None of it makes any sense at all. So guys, just for that, because that's one big, nasty, messy nobody want to talk about. Now, is Doug with you guys or is it me and you?
No, Doug's with us, but we had called this, so he's in the, I don't know about, but apparently it's important.
I'm a little bit aggravated right now. It had nothing to do with you or the audience, my show or anything else. My son Harrison just came back from graduate school, another from cum laude today for the first semester of the A program. There's 3 semesters, and he's at home doing a final paper. His other college friends came home today who was going to South. I can't say the name of the school. It's a school here in the South, and maybe it's a Christian school. And he said that one of the reasons he's left school now is going to a second school, and he basically said the reason he left was one of his New Testament survey professors said in class last semester that gay people are actively involved in a lifestyle can be Christians in heaven. And that's diametrically opposed to what the Word of God says. That's diametrically opposed to what the New Testament says. And he said he was so upset about it that he almost walked out of the class and just left the university because just walked out and said, done, I'm going to finish my semester here. Because I want to hear stuff like this. I'd rather go to a school that's a secular school and teach business just to go to become a youth pastor of a church. So he's going to go get a degree. So how to at least run the church, which is a great idea. This is something I told earlier. But the thing about all this stuff never is affecting body all over the country. And a lot of this is because I think he needs to listen to a guy named Fallon. And he's talking about what's happened in Christianity and how some of them are taking from George Soros. I mean, I'm over $1 billion. One church got $100 million from these different non-governmental organizations George Soros has set up in order to promote the globalist agenda, the open border agenda, and the basically white people are bad agenda. I kid you not. I sent into the audio. He can do it next week. I'm sure he'll report on it. But the crazy thing about it is this thing now that's crept into these Christian universities and Christian colleges all around the country in which they're teaching political correctness. Because once these universities start taking government loans and government money, they have all types of regulations they have to be that are enforced, that just like the universities that are secular. This is one of the reasons that so many of the Christian schools that started as Christian schools, like Harvard, are now unbelievably 100% secular. Sadly, Joe, that these young minds, I won't even do what I told my friend his car tonight when he told me that. I looked at him, I said, well, I'd have set up, and I would have said an expletive about to that guy, and I'd have said, I'm going to the administrative staff right now, and I'm going to have you talk to them because this is diametrically opposed to my values and my belief systems. Now, also, this is not just the United States that's doing this. This is this whole collectivism thing that says everybody can be saved. There's no such thing as hell. Everybody's happy together in heaven, and you can do or be wherever you are. In fact, this professor at the university, as far as this, he said, this is how far he went to it. He said, God made Adam and Eve, that's true, but he also made Adam and Steve. Those are his words. Those were his quotes.
Wow.
Now, implying that Adam and Steve are just as loved by God as, everything else. He doesn't even go into consideration of what happened in the book of Genesis with Sodom and Gomorrah. Doesn't even talk about that. Doesn't talk about what Paul says, the acts of the sinful nature are obvious, and the homosexuality enter the kingdom. You can't be that way. And here I told him, I want to tear on this. You guys don't even care, this kind of stuff. But I'm going to finish this. Give me another minute. Here's the thing. Let's say, for instance, I'm a Christian, and I'm single. I'm not married. I've got a beautiful wife. I've been married for 34 years. Let's say I'm a Christian. I'm back in college, and I'm single. And a beautiful woman comes up to me and says to me, hey, aren't you Tim Rower? I saw you on the seminar circuit. I'd like to go out and lunch with you. Maybe you could, we could, go around, later and do who knows what. Now, at that point in time, I haven't sinned. I haven't done anything wrong. It's the act of this stuff that people do, the adultery or the promiscuity that people get involved in as Christians that create the problem. It's the sin. That's why people understand. Everybody's going to get tested. Everybody's going to be tempted all the time. Women are going to come up if you're a guy. Men are going to come up to you, a woman, and they're going to make comments to you. They're going to be flirting with you. Everybody's got to get that happens to pretty much everybody throughout their entire life. I'm 62 years old. It still happens. Sharon's 61. It's just, you have to learn just to step away, walk away, say, let go, no thank you, leave me alone. That's all you do. And I told my friend, my kids tonight, look, guys, the same thing with the guys. It doesn't matter if some hits on they're a little bit thin, because I feel bad for them because it can happen in utero, if they get exposed to too much exogenous estrogen and chemically castrate them. Shows with you on that. I got how it can feminize the male. You'll do that too, especially if you get soy product, soy milk, and hormones in the chicken, the fish, or in the dog beef, and that's farm raised fish, by the way. And the craziest thing about it is, I'm more understanding of all that, and it doesn't make any difference if somebody hits on a guy who's a little bit feminine. If the guy says no, I'm not interested, I'm looking for my wife, whatever. But you can't be actively acting out and end up with reprobate mind and say, oh, that's okay. Anything in Israel. Here's what's happening in Israel right now. This is from the times of Israel. Over 20,000, some people say 5,000, march in Jerusalem's Gay Pride Parade under heavy security. Finger over the gay, parental, surrogate rights, nation-state law. Large crowds gather in the capital, with many saying they are marching for those who still can't. And this is like 35,000 gays marched in a parade. Intel, which is the number one homosexual destination in the world, and corrupt it's all over the planet. Saying this came in my inbox today about all of this stuff. This happened everywhere because as was the day of Noah, so shall it be upon my return. Jesus himself said, I think he said, so shall it be upon some return. And what Presley is that Jesus said that this was going to happen. Also, those days that every thought, every man was evil all of the time, and thought this process now has permeated all Christendom and through the East and any alternative stuff. Okay, Christianity is a unique religion. And Judaism is both very unique. In Judaism, if they are the 5 books of Levitical law, which are 5 Old Testament, it's very clear these different types of sins, including homosexuality. They deviate from other teachings other than the Word of God. It's when they messed up, like they have now in Israel, like we have in the United States. This all goes back to the hate Christianity by the groups of the United States, meaning long, deep-seated, 1,000-year hatred of Christians, Protestants, and Catholics, and everything else. That's what all this boils down to, is the media that's being controlled by all this. But God, it's so important we all take a stand on this, because we can't allow ourselves to be put in a situation where all this stuff is okay. Now, let me give you another example. Here's another article right here. This is absolutely nuts. The lady is old, and apparently she was senile, and apparently she didn't know what to do, because she basically not functioning properly. This is Amsterdam in the Netherlands. This is the international lifenews.com. Elderly woman resisted being euthanized or killed with a needle. They were going to kill her because she was old. When she saw the needle, Joe, she didn't want to be euthanized anymore. So her family held her down so they could kill her. Read the article. A Dutch doctor rebuked killing elderly patient without consent in an hypnotic manner has been given a formal reprimand by the Dutch Medical Complaint Board and may face criminal charges. Worldwide war. In case of a woman placed in care after she developed dementia and her husband could no longer with her at home. She was stressed and frightened to refuse the doctor home, determined that she was suffering badly. He concluded that she was not mentally competent, but at an earlier statement in her that she wanted euthanasia, when I find myself to be the right time justified killing her. The stories great horror around the world as it emerged that the doctor drug victims called. Listen to this. Had her family hold her down. She's trying to fight off the lethal injection, despite not being able to consent to being killed. The panel cleared her of all. This happens. We don't have a bound. When you think, okay, I don't have a right, I have a wrong. I'm going to be like animals. Like I said, the entire planet up, down, so right be wrong, wrong be right. Bible season happening in days. And this is what's happening globally right now, all across the United States, all across Europe, to the Netherlands here, and up there in Amsterdam, that they're killing people who are sick and basically being reprimanded because she don't want to. Joe, how do you get like this? It's all about Lutheranism. all about killing people. And then another thing, this is another one I want to read. You guys, I've got about 40 of these. I mean, I worked all of them on the show, but I want to read this one. The New York Times says, this is you're going to absolutely love this one. The New York Times says that white population in New Hampshire is a problem. Gosh. A recent New York Times Twitters, New Hampshire, like its neighbors, Vermont and Maine, is nearly all white. This has posed an array of problems for new arrivals from Africa and from these different Muslim countries to find themselves isolated alone without the comfort and support of the community. Report Matt Walsh shows that this is one of the most racist statements that one can imagine, and proves by showing how it would sound if it were written about instead of that New Hampshire. This is written by J. Edward Griffin. The issue, however, is deeper than that. Apparently, the Times believes skin color is a factory creating immunity. The new arrivals described, of course, immigrants bringing not only a difference of skin color, but a huge difference in culture, which they intend to see replace the culture that now exists in New Hampshire. Now, what's crazy about all of this, the media talk about any of this, and of course they won't pick up the because they want to sound like this, because they're this up. One of the most racist socialists I've ever seen are in Minnesota now, super Minnesota. A lot of conservatives there, super liberal state in general. They've had huge amounts of immigration in the a man from Somalia, again, mad, got into altercation, and ripped the eyeballs out of the man. His eyes like poured out of the socket, blinded this guy permanently, and media won't cover all that. According to websites, tell you what IQ is in certain countries, and Somalia's got a 69 website, 69. He thinks this, Doug and Joe, if this is going on, how in the world does it affect everybody in the United States? This is insanity to me. We think anything like this is okay, that we should want to accept anything like this. I mean, it's all out war on white people right now. It's protocol with white people. Why? The atavistic hatred of Protestants and how many people, and so what's been done in the United States, basically part of the white blaming is shifting. They're also doing George Soros churches. You know, it's white Protestants. And then here's an article. It says, "You to whites, you are hated." I mean, this is an article. Let me pull through the author. This is from Jesse Lee Peterson. And then here's another one. I want to put more white art because this is aggravating. I realize that not all people are like this. You know, it's one of those things that if we don't stand against this mess, Joe, it's going to get worse. There's another one. South Africa is amending the Constitution. White farmers' lands to be seized and given to blacks.
Yeah,
now,
there's been I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there has been a sick program of murder and terror over there with these farmers, and they are murdering and raping and killing innocent men, women, and children in what was it, South Africa, and want to, and they're going to remove all the farmers, the white farmers, and actually Russia is opening its doors, from what I understand, to these farmers who are going to be relocating, buying land there. But this happened before. The person who's doing this was a close follower of Nelson Mandela, even though it was over there a few weeks ago or a week ago, and was praising the leadership there, not even mentioning the fact that this is going on. It's a genocide happening there.
Well, and let me tell you this. I have a friend of mine, Rodney Howard Brown, who's been on your show. He's from South Africa, and he assures me all of this is true. What's interesting about all of this is that Stalin did the same thing. When Stalin took over Russia, he killed the low estimate 60 million people, higher estimate up to 100 million people, and killed entire white churches. I mean, the Russian Orthodox Church would put people into the churches, and burn the church and kill the people to get a bigger bang for his buck and say bullets, I guess, Joe. And then when well, they'd be white, they were colored. Well, the ones they weren't willing to elective and give crops away that didn't want to work. Joe, the farmers killed in Russia. And when that happened, Russia starved. You had 10 million more people died from starvation. Why? Because Stalin went in, killed the people that were running the country. And here's the thing. They don't care what color the farmer is. They know how to take the farm and basically raise crops. People be left in place. In South Africa, these guys have no idea how to raise it. They don't do a garden. I've got friends from South Africa, and they said that what they're doing is they'll have some acres be given to them. Normally was field all these crops, and they'll raise home gardens, feed their own family, about 1,000 acres. Then they take all irrigation pipes that water the 10,000 acres, the big aluminum pipes that run the water all over them, and sell them for sale. They have no idea before. They weren't trained, but they were put on the property. And this is the problem with collectivism, with communism, with socialism. It's the same. It's always the same. These guys do everything they can to take your stuff. And when they stuff, they don't know how you get stuff. And stuff ends up deteriorating, going sideways. The economy collapses because they can do what you did with stuff because they have to see. The collectivists are funny. The communists are funny, Joe. They don't want to use their money for things. You see this for Winfrey and all the rest of these socialists. They don't want to get billions of dollars now. She doesn't want to give away. I mean, you do it for $1 billion. You have your money away, give $2 billion away, $2 billion. You're going to live like a king for the rest of your life. They won't do that. They want you and me to take our stuff and give it to them by the point of a gun to the head, called the IRS. We're gonna take your stuff, or we're gonna come take your stuff, and we're gonna put you in jail if you don't give us your stuff. But what they want, and they want. I've got a friend of mine. He's got a wife. I'm not going to mention any names here, and he's a core conservative. And when he married her, after he married her, he found out she was a hardcore liberal social out Colombia, and she is hardcore communist. And every time I have a conversation with him, we try to go to dinner with them, couples, myself and these two, and it's like she's like a giant, sore thumb sticking up. And it's unbelievable how incredible. She cried for 2 weeks after Trump won the election. I mean, on the floor, hysterically crying, kicking and screaming like a child. Until finally he said, look, I can't take this anymore. You got to understand that Trump won the election, that Hillary didn't win, and you got to move on with it. Because she wanted the collectivism, the communism, to completely take over the United States, to turn the United States into the same hellhole, Colombia, that she came out. And Joe, it doesn't make any sense to talk to these people that are hardcore communists, talking to a chalkboard and telling you the answer on a Macklemore account. It's not going to do.
No more luck talking to the chalkboard, because these people.
And Joe, I used to, and so I would send her stuff. Well, I sent her pro stuff. I sent her negative on Trump, sent her positive stuff on Trump. And finally, I saw an article basically that was doing well and making progress with the country. She sent me a text today. Tell her to send her another text today that she doesn't want to hear any of this junk. That doesn't have time for this junk. And I mean, unbelievably rude. And I thought to myself, what a, you know the word, what be? And I thought to myself, why is that? Why is it? I'll get something, Bernie Sanders, analyze it. Now he's a communist. I got that. But he's like God. Okay, he's right about this. He's right about this. This is wrong about. I won't vote for him because I would never vote for him. But I don't have hatred for him, Joe. I'm not saying, you go to hell out here. I can't stand it. They come up with crazy stuff. I mean, we sat through 8 years of the gay camp. 8 years of the gay camp and his rallies his transgender wife, and we're sitting here and all the stuff that he did and all the destruction that he's wrought on our country, and now a 2-year investigation that Obama started, we find out, and we're dealing with all the black that he did because he's bringing in collectivism into the United States. And I didn't hate Obama. I don't like him. I could care less about him. He's even a citizen of the United States, as far as I'm concerned. I think drives doggone. So here.
Yep. By the way, I believe that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but I do. I believe it. I've got on around a silk dress with a large appendage. You're like, what the heck is that? I don't understand what that is. But I'm not going to think woman's a woman. I was taking a class one time, and we asked it's a joke class. He goes, how can you tell if somebody has what DNA is? And I said, they're a male or female. And I said, well, it's the XY chromosome. He goes, no. If you want to know whether somebody is male or female by their DNA, you pull these down. More on words, see if they're a boy or girl. We know those to be a girl. Parents up in the Northeast, Joe, their children, they don't call them babies anymore. They call them babies. They're saying these babies have to learn for their own self, whether they're a male or a female. Nothing's wrong. That kid's not going to go nuts or anything. Are you joking me? No, I'm not. Call them babies because the child is supposed to determine itself if it's a boy or a girl, and that's what they want the child to decide. That's nonsense. Ugh. You can on DNA about a Y chromosome, they're a boy. You can pull the pants down like our professor about it as if they're a boy. But they don't want these children to know. To be told boy or girl, they have to decide on what they want to be, or they can be fluid gender. They can be a boy one day, the next day, an octopus the next day, a whale the next day, a walrus the next day. This is mental illness, this is. It's all brought to us by the Sabbatean Kabbalists, the Luciferians, the ones that we talked about on the show. We are going to track all the way back to Genesis chapter 6, the ones who consider themselves to be the 90 Nephilim, sons of the fallen, and they also call the synagogue of Satan in the New Testament of Revelation. This is the same group of people that have done this to us for thousands of years, and now they're trying to tell us that it's okay if it's a boy, it's a girl. And like I told Joe earlier, Doug, while you were out on the phone, if you try to talk to a girl, I mean hardcore, you might be talking to a chalkboard. They won't listen to it. It's the same thing. If you talk to somebody that's absolutely convinced that vaccines are good, and you show them how vaccines are good, and you give them the research, double-blind research studies that show this, they won't even read it. I have a friend of mine who's a pastor, known pastor, big church from Tampa. His son is vaccinating their little grandbaby, free vaccine known to man, and my pastor friend doesn't believe in vaccines. And he asked me, he goes, how do I get my son to listen? I said, you can't. Well, can you send him to the Doug has 350 or many of them peers on vaccinations that he can click and just read them all through, read all the summaries about these vaccinations and how they cause these problems with health issues with these kids. And he still, after sending 300 peer-reviewed articles, scientific, about what vaccines do, he said, well, I've got an article here that says they're fine. And I said, that's the article written by GlaxoSmithKline, one of the top pushers of vaccines. I said, you got to read stuff that he's making money on. I said, you got to look at the basics of science. on fact upon a pocketbook. Didn't get it. He still didn't get it. Now, his wife is extremely liberal. He didn't know that, I don't guess, married, or why somebody would be liberal if they're conservative, but she's extremely liberal. And after I sent him the articles, the next time I saw them at my friend's church, she gave me the kill you, if not tonight, she's going to die by my hand. That's how she looked at me. And why? Because I sent her an article that said, maybe reevaluate your child's civilizations. Maybe you think through it. See, the problem, now for those of you who are school, it's important, if you are dead one, that you immediately find out what their values are and what thoughts are on things like emulation. Their thoughts are on school punishment, spanking your children. They're on private school versus homeschool. It's very important whether you want to eat organic or take vitamin. All these things are not big of a deal for individuals the way they do. If you're diametrically opposed to these types of value systems, if you think they're going to just change like that as soon as you get married, whistling and 95% of the time, you're going to have conflict all the time. Well, organic. I don't eat organic. Well, I don't want to eat hot dogs. It contains sodium nitrate. I like hot dogs. I don't use the toothpaste that has the fight in it. I don't want to use that. It causes brain damage like Hughes. No, here, I want to use it. That's what kids use too. And it starts like, it's like, that's what the Bible says. Ye not unequally yoked. Touch not unclean thing. I'll see you. He's telling us right in the New Testament that Christians don't need to be Muslims or Jews or Hindus or Buddhists or people not of the same faith or who are atheists or agnostic. You don't need to do that. Being married and having a good marriage, and Doug, you guys know this, you're both married, I'm 34 years. Being married and having a great marriage or a good marriage or an average marriage or a mediocre marriage, it kind of all depends on the value system and what you were willing to do with your spouse. You've seen Sharon, same show many times, and she's always reaching what I say because she believes the exact same thing that I believe. She eats cleaner than I eat. I mean, it's crazy. Let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you, I'll give you some personal stuff that happened. My 15-year-old daughter giving her a lot of problems. We had to send her off to boarding school about 2 months ago. Sharon got so stressed out about it that she developed an ulcer, pep ulcer. Kid you not, guys, the she had put her on, she getting a cold, stressed out a cold. She ended up getting on a product called Hagemann, which is antibiotic. Now, I'm telling you about this product right now. One of the side effects is causes ulcers, particularly in women of the age of 60. And Sharon's 61. So she's taking this antibiotic, and all of them, like 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we have all these 15-year-old, and suddenly we get some 15-year-old out, and Sharon's got these stomach issues going on. By the grace of God now, the ulcer's on. She's doing great, and we had to develop a protocol for ulcers. So we're going to have a full protocol on the website for ulcers. All these guys, Warren and I were on the same page. Sharon said, well, I'm going to try the medical route. Let me give you another example today. Today, I called an old friend of mine who was my bookkeeper for about 20 years. And I was talking to her, and her boss died. Not hasn't died. He had a massive stroke of death. He owned the accounting firm. And she ended up, she's still doing for the account from the firm's been sold. And I said, well, how old was your boss? And she said he's 60. Now, that hung with me pretty quick. He had a stroke and he fell, a concussion, came back to dire straits, back out. I hope he pray that he does. And what's interesting about this is, I said, well, awful. She goes, well, yeah, he had blood pressure, but he didn't want to deal with it, and he wouldn't go to the doctor. And I said, you can't do that. You get a stroke from that. You can have kidney damage from that. You've got to address the high blood pressure. We have a product called HGH Stimulate. And not only does it elevate human growth by stimulating the pituitary gland, it also helps to maintain healthy blood pressure. It also helps to maintain healthy libido in men, which is sex drive. And it's great. I take 2 scoops every single day because I want to try blood pressure is really healthy. If you've got high blood pressure, you got to get it down because of all the effects, including stroke and kidney damage. Now, that's not even the point. Her husband, 64 years old, 2 years old lady, I met him, but I'm sure she's a guy because she's a great lady. And I said, well, how's your husband doing? She goes, well, he's not doing well. I said, well, when he turned 63, he started having all these health problems. He had to have his appendix removed. Then he had to have his gallbladder removed. Then he had to have his prostate removed. And now he's unbelievably bad shape because they diagnosed him with cancer, and he had to have his left kidney moved. And it's like a year's time. And he's 64 years old, like my age. Now, let me explain to you something about this. Why did all this happen at once? A couple of years ago, we were over in Winter Haven going to the movies, and we took back road. And there was a cat, a tomcat, walking down the road. And you think, the heck's talking about a tomcat. Stay with me. This tomcat had an ear gone, the other ear broken down, half his tail was gone, the other part was broken off. He was limping. The cat looked like he was on his last leg. Okay? This is his leg or something. So I don't know. And I looked at the guy and said, sure, see that cat? And you could tell he was just a scrubber, but he was done. He was actually, what about a cat? Here's why. Several different theory aging process, which is called division. Cells can only do many times. In other words, if you take a copy on a photocopy machine, you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. After about 20 or 30 copies, it's looking pretty bad. Now, new copies do that anymore. You can enter it into the copy machine as a digital format, and it's printing the same copy over and over again. But not like ourselves do. Let's say, for instance, this one theory, this one, that we have like a finite amount of location structure. If we're years old, we multiply 100 times. As cells get older and older and older and keep dividing, they're making perfect copies, and we age. Now, I'm making this real simple. It gets complicated. I'm not making it complicated. So, problem, if we're eating the wrong foods, putting chemicals in our body we shouldn't put in our body, we're under a lot of stress and elevated cortisol, we're running high blood pressure, we're running high blood sugar all the time, our cells don't last very long, and they've got to replicate more quickly. So in case that you were living 100 years old and you were replicating once every year, you have 100 replications, suddenly you're replicating every 6 months. Now, instead of living 100, you live to be 50. It's that simple. And so the key here is you want those cells to be as healthy for as long as they possibly can.
If I can stop right there, I just want to just tell people who listened last night, and this is important, Ted, because we had a lot of people listening last night to Timothy Alberino talking about this, and a lot of interest by a lot of Q&A interest about this very topic, the entropy, I guess, and the duplication, like a copy of a copy of a copy. Mm-hmm. So the folks who listened last night, so what? You got the scientific view tonight, and the shall we say the DNA or the biblical view, shall we say, last night, and the scientific view tonight. So this is how it fits together.
And what happens every time you have that cell division, our telomeres and our DNA, our chromosomes, they shorter and shorter in the cell. And when these telomeres get shorter and shorter, they can't duplicate more. And so now they're understanding this is probably how it works. Now, when we were in the Garden of Eden with God, and Adam basically decided to get talked in a piece of fruit by his girlfriend there, and we all got snatched out of the garden, we learned was this. God said, I'm no longer going to allow them to eat from the tree of life that they'll live forever, so now they're going to be rooted out. Apparently what that did, that restored telomere function to tree of life. I don't know, I'm speculating now. Don't send me letters, I'm speculating. And how these people live forever, because sure enough, in the Old Testament, in Genesis, some of these people were living 600, 700, 900 years. Why? Because their DNA had been compromised like it has today. After the flood, I did another check on it. And think a second about this. How bad has to get in the flood of Noah, when every thought of every man was evil all the time, for God to come back down and look at the planet and go, wow, this is awful. I mean, I built this place. I mean, they were probably doing geoengineering, just like they are they doing right now, Joe. They were probably doing massing operations, these fallen angels, whether they were doing harvesting, because, sand is a product of rock, where all these deserts come from. I mean, they were probably all of this stuff to the planet, and then God shows up and goes, I'm getting a good look at this thing right now. This is awful. And, everybody here is evil all the time, because they're all being controlled now by these pyramidal structures and all the stuff they're doing now with 5G network. And I'm going to have to start this over again. But the word says that these fallen angels were there before and after the flood. No theologians want to address this. They want to pretend like it all went away with Noah. It did not. And that's a group of fallen angels, maybe different ones, who knows. And here's why I say that. We don't know how many angels have fallen. We don't know how many angels continue to fall. We don't know that because the book isn't clear on those numbers. We haven't got the whole numbers. We know how many watchers were here, how many of these fallen angels came in. We get that. But we don't know how many of the actual numbers were. We have no idea. We can just guess, because the Bible's not clear on that, because they obviously stayed or went somewhere and they came back after the flood, and they started their whole mischief all over again. If you want to call it mischief, this is a degradation of mankind in a really hellish kind of way. It's way past that's what Chuck Missler like used to call it was mischief. It's not degradation of humankind in a way. You can quote me on that. That's what these guys were involved in. And now they're back. They didn't leave, came back. Whatever they did, however they left of their time portals or their stargates or whatever you want to talk about with Tom Horn. He's got some really cool stuff. I love reading his stuff. Ended up in a situation where we're dealing with the same mess all over again. Guys, it's so important that our aging process is specifically determined by telomere length and this is the reproductive capacity of the cell. People are saying to me in the chat, why do you guys, you're in your 60s, still do mountain climbing, still do biking, you still do all kinds of crazy stuff. I still do snorkeling, swimming. Why can you guys do that in your 60s when we feel like we're about to die? And my response is this. I'm not biologically 60. I've slowed my aging process, so that's why I have very little gray hair. I'm not biologically 60. I'm probably biologically 35. That's why I'm still able to do all these things at age. Now, say, well, is it ever late? No. You can always start doing things like our like our healthy lifestyle kit, which gives you the ultimate multiple, the B, the C, the D, all the things that your body needs to maintain healthy cellular function, even if you don't do anything else. If you can't do anything else, get the ultimate multiple powder or capsules. I like the powder better for the product. I use it 2 to 4 scoops a day. I love that stuff. And you'll feel your energies pick up almost immediately when you do that product within 4. See it over and over and over again. Let me give you another example. The other day it was low pressure here. Low pressure. We had a low pressure zone here. And I had people call me, we feel awful. What's going on? We're taking the supplements. We feel the cellular system of the body goes through what's called passive diffusion, with semi-permeable membrane in cells, which means when the nutrients close the cells, they actually get pushed into the cell because of osmotic pressure. When the osmotic pressure gets really, really low, like in a storm front, you get real tired because there's not enough pressure to push the nutrients into the cell wall and to feed the cells in the mitochondria. So your body gets sluggish because the mitochondria now can't get enough B vitamins in order to produce. They can't convert adenosine triphosphate any longer to ATP, and so the system starts to get really weak. The mitochondria have B vitamins, kind of like a spark plug in a car. You can pull a couple of plug wires off the car, but it runs badly. That's what happens with the mitochondrial B complex. That's why the methylated B complex works so well. Now, what we see is that when you have mitochondria getting the nutrients it needs because of low pressure on them, what you need to do is at that point increase the B vitamins on your program like that. And Drew called me up. He's a professor that I know. So, dude, I feel awful today. My head's foggy. I said, yes, that's not the same thing. It's the low pressure gradient that's upon us right where we live here. And I said, increase your B vitamins, increase your iodine, increase your D3, because it's not getting pushed into the cells. Because the pressure is too low, you need to increase the concentration so it doesn't require as much pressure for nutrients into your cell wall, through your cell wall. And he did. He called me back like a few hours later. He goes, dude, really? That fast? I said, yeah, fast. It really makes a difference. Joe, do you remember during the full moon, we have increased crime, murders, all of this stuff, to the point in the old days they called these people who went nuts during a full moon lunatics. That's where the term came from. They went nuts. Years ago, when Austin Cheaters, he broke his left foot in a dirt bike accident, riding a bike on the bike. It's a long story. And he ended up really getting hurt. He had to have pins and plate put in his leg, turn his leg backwards, snap the bone. It was on a Friday during a full moon. And he called me up and, on the cell phone, he goes, man, Dad, this place is nuts. There are people screaming and howling and saying they're dying. He says, this is crazy. And Sharon asked, what's going on here? The lady at the emergency room said, it's a full moon. This always happens during full moons. So it's how the body deals with pressure gradients inside of the cells. Because remember, we're all living one cell at a time. All of our cells are connected to our DNA with intradimensional, and the DNA talks to the other parts of the body through the nervous system and through scalar and longitudinal waves. We've talked about this on the show, which are basically an energy field frequency. We're in an energy field our body is right now. And so we're interactive right now with God Almighty because of the energy field we're in, because inside of His energy field, because He's omnipresent. And what's so neat about this show is if you get the basics of that and how Christianity really works, who we are in Jesus, you understand the power and the authority of the believer. But people don't get that. I've done entire shows on that with you guys before, so we'll pass on that tonight too. Now, here's a couple more things I want to talk about. What's ingredient in groceries will alarm you when you find out about their toxicity? It's an article by Wells. Number one is talc. Talc consumption has been shown to cause ovarian cancer over and over and over again. Don't use it in your food, and by all means, don't put it on your body whatsoever. Artificial food coloring can cause cancer and hyperactivity, attention in children, including ADD and ADHD. Artificial food dyes flood the American food supply to the tune of 15 million pounds a year. When you eat aluminum like food coloring, you're consuming dangerous amounts of aluminum and harmful synthetic petrochemicals. Aluminum poisoning can lead to short-term and long-term central nervous system damage. Like blue number 1, research shows it causes kidney tumors in mice. Blue number 2 can cause higher incidence of tumors, including the brain and spine. Red 2 is toxic to rodents, even at modest levels can cause tumors of the bladder. Red 3, recognized in 1990 as a cause of thyroid cancer in animals, and in countries still food and med abortion. Red 40 was popular diet, debilitates the immune system in mice. Allergic reactions are common. Green 3 causes bladder and testicle tumors. Yellow 5 affects behavior and induces severe hypersensitivity reactions. And yellow 6 causes adrenal tumors in animals. We know all of this, Doug and Joe, cause cancer. Doesn't make any difference. Hyperactivity, cancer, what difference does it make? They think we're animals anyhow. I mean, they even said a few weeks ago, I'll bring up an article in just a second. In fact, it says that basically they know the drugs don't work. I'll come to this in a second. Sucralose exacerbates digestive issues like Crohn's. Then you've got aspartame, which has been shown in brain tumors, brain cancer, seizures, headache, optic nerve degradation. Polyethylene glycol decomposes into the bombing formaldehyde in the body. Maltodextrin from genetically modified corn taxes the human liver, kidneys, bladder, and lymphatic system. And this is what's going on right now in the United States. Right now, all of the garbage we're putting into our body. Why? Because, we're basically in a situation that people don't understand that, the food that we're eating, Doug and Joe, is literally poisoning us one mouthful at a time. In fact, one of the largest petrochemical company manufacturers of drugs said that their drugs don't even work and 50% of the time at all. They have no effect whatsoever on the person taking that drug. So we're supposed to believe that these drugs are the best medicine. And that's the one thing that was so nice with Sharon, with her peptic ulcer that she developed. She was willing, with me, work the best we could in the research to find out what she needed to do to heal this peptic ulcer. And we did. We got a full protocol that we put together that works really well. It's not on the website yet. Don't ask for it. Another scientific article confirms that turmeric is as effective as 14 different drugs. Some of the drugs. It can replace, in many cases, these drugs. Now, I'm not telling you to come off your drugs. Do what your doctor tells you to do. Lipitor, okay? Cholesterol medication. Turmeric seems to work better for that. Steroid medications. Prozac. Fluoxetine, which it is, that's a active fluoride molecule in the Prozac. Just thought I'd mention that real quick. It's also the active molecule in sarin nerve gas, which is fluorine. Aspirin and blood thinner. Anti-inflammatory drugs. Chemotherapy drugs. Metformin diabetes drugs. Turmeric has been shown to work better in all of those conditions than the drugs that are being used and prescribed right now in the doctor's offices, Doug and Joe. People who are willing to try alternative medicine.
What's the dosage?
It all depends on your levels, okay? For instance, like with turmeric, if a person has an impaired immune system, they can take a lot. Okay? That's, I would say, like 12 3 times a day, or to bowel tolerance. Now, there's a bunch of different types of turmeric out there. They're not all the same. Some of them don't work at all because of the way they're made. The stuff that we use at Healthmasters comes from Germany. And, when it's brought in and we make it using it's like an extract. It's super high quality content. Now, if you have a problem with an impaired immune system, if all you're trying to do is work with your blood sugar, you get away with 3 or 4 per meal, 10 or 12 a day. I personally take about 10 to 12 to 15 turmeric every day, because it's been linked to so many different conditions as far as helping to repair them. Years ago, I had a really bad tomato allergy, Doug. And Joe, I didn't know how to develop a tomato allergy. I know how I developed it. There's a restaurant in Celebration, Florida. It's called the Columbia Restaurant. And it's got great tasting food. And they had some really good chicken quesadillas there. And Sharon and I would go in there a couple of times a week. It's like a 20-minute drive, and we'd have the chicken quesadillas. And I loved them. And we'd bring the kids there when they were little. And it's a real fancy restaurant, but it's not real expensive. It's like they give you tablecloths silverware. I even knew the manager. He's still there. His name is Jeff. And we would all order quesadillas, and we'd do it a couple times a week. And I didn't realize that they were using GMO food, GMO tomatoes, and who knows what they were sprayed in because they weren't organic. And all I started itching real bad. And I'm like, what the heck? Why am I itching? This is awful. My ears were itching. My arms were itching. And I'm like, this is nuts. And so finally I went in and got a blood test. I found out that I had developed a terrible allergy to tomatoes. I ended up not eating at the Columbia Restaurant anymore. But what I also found was this. Every time I ate tomatoes, it caused me to itch. The only thing that I could find that would get rid of the itching was turmeric and black seed oil. In fact, the turmeric and the black seed oil were the 1-2 punch to stop the itching because my inner ear canals were itching too. And this is some really good advice I'm giving you guys right now. If you've got a problem with your skin itching and it's really, really bad, get off the processed food, get off the GMO foods, eat organic foods, and start taking turmeric every single day, 3 times a day if you'd like to do that. That'll work. And also a tablespoon of black seed oil morning and evening. And it's amazing what it'll do as far as skin itching. I mean, it literally stops it, Doug and Joe, in 20 minutes. I've never seen anything work like that. And I had the corticosteroids. I'm trying the medical. I'm going to the pharmacist. I'm going to the doctor. They even put me on antibiotics. And I said, because they thought I had some type of infection. Nothing worked until I had the allergy test done, got off the tomatoes, and I was still itching until I started using the black seed oil and the turmeric. Just like that. I have a lady who goes to our church up in North Carolina. Her name is Kim, and she was suffering the same thing. She had real bad itching on her arms, hated it, had gone to all these specialists, all these doctors, couldn't get rid of it. And I'm in the car one night, and we're talking to her, Sharon's with me, and she starts telling me she has this problem. And I said, you want to know how to fix it? She goes, what do you mean? I said, that's an easy fix. I said, I haven't discovered it, but it's an easy fix. You have to combine and stack turmeric with black seed oil, take care of it within hours, within days. And she called me back 2 days later. She got the product. She ordered it from Healthmasters. And she called me back. She goes, what takes stuff? She goes, I've tried every cream, every drug, everything. Top specials, top dermatologists. You knew how to fix it. You tell me to take black seed oil and turmeric, and it took care of it in a couple of days. I'm not itching anymore. First time in 8 years I haven't itched. And I said, yeah, no. It works that fast. And I tell you guys, if you suffer from it, I had, Doug and Joe, it was like I had like a pipe cleaner. Or like an insect, like an ant crawling on the inside of my ear canals. I mean, it was awful. In the middle of the night, I'd wake up and go, gosh, these things are itching. And I thought, hey, well, that sounds funny to me that you had it. Oh, it sounds funny to me now, too, when I talk about it. It was funny when it was happening. We wake 4 o'clock in the morning. But I tell you what, guys, those 2 products took care of it almost immediately. And I don't have that problem anymore. Guys, it's so important to understand that food and supplements can be your best medicine if you take them in high enough concentrations to make a difference. Like I mentioned earlier, if the osmotic pressure is low and you can't get these nutrients into your body, you may have to take higher concentrations. Plus, if you've got problems with your health overall, you may have a really big deficiency in some of the stuff. Let me give you an example. If you're exceedingly deficient in vitamin D3 and you're taking 50 IUs, 100 IUs a day, it ain't going to make any difference. Same thing with iodine. You got to increase the dosing. That's why we like things like vitamin D, which is a hormone. It's really important. We use sheep's wool lanolin to make our vitamin D. They're not synthetic. We always take K2 with it because it prevents the buildup of calcium in the arteries, too much vitamin D. And it's so important that you have the right dosing on these products. That's why I tell people, go to the doctor if you're taking D3, get tested every 6 months, very inexpensive test, and you can make sure you maintain your vitamin D levels around 60 on the chart. That's what I'm saying. I told you guys a few months ago, I started on the MCT coconut oil we have on the website, like $20. Burned fat, like completely. I mean, completely gone. Not finished. It's over with. Didn't lose any weight. Didn't change my exercise. Didn't change diet. Just burnt belly fat off. And I thought, wow. But it also helped to elevate testosterone along with the alpha male stack. You take those together, testosterone goes through the roof. My testosterone is right at 600, and I'm 62 years old. And I mean, I know guys in their 30s and 40s that don't have 600 testosterone, Doug and Joe. Why is that? Because my telomeres aren't too short. Because my body still works. My prostate still works. And when you have people that have to have all these organs removed when they're my age, it's kind of gross. It's kind of awful for me because, guys, you can't think that you're going to rob from Peter to pay Paul and it's not going to affect you. You can't think that you can do whatever you want to do, live however you want to live and not have consequences. It doesn't work that way because what ends up happening is you get a situation where you basically end up being in a situation where your body starts to fall apart way too young. I'll give you another example. Vitamin K2 promotes healthy arteries and cardiovascular protection. Vitamin K2 deficiencies can set the stage for fatal heart disease. Vitamin K is essential for the proper clotting of the blood and maintaining health density. It exists in 2 K1 known and vitamin 2. But vitamin K2 in turn has different forms of immune in different studies. Research has found that vitamin K2 and K1 perform different functions. High dose vitamin K can block harmful calcium infiltration into the arteries and into the joints and reduce and help reverse stiffness and heart disease and atherosclerotic plaquing and also hardening